Okay, today in this video, we are going to take a look at what happens when we are solving a multi-step equation and the variables disappear. Now, we got to think about that. Let's say, okay, my variables are going to disappear. Yeah, as we are working the problem, we'll notice that when we are moving, adding or subtracting our variables across the equal sign, that they will cancel out. They'll go to zero. So there are three types of solutions. There's one solution. You're familiar with that. That's what you've been working on. So let's say you finished a problem and the problem was x equals 3. That's one solution. X is 3. You know what the value of that variable is. But now let's take a look at something that you may not be familiar with, and that's what happens if we have no solution or infinitely many solutions. Same steps you've been practicing. I'm going to go ahead and show balance. I look to the left and I notice that I need to distribute. So negative 8x, negative 4 times positive 1 is negative 4 equals negative 8x subtract 2. Now, as we practiced yesterday, I have these variables on both sides and I need to get them together because I'm solving for x. I can't have them split apart. I need them together. So I'm going to move negative 8x, and I undo negative 8x with add 8x. What I do to one side, I do to the other. So right underneath the variable term, negative 8x and positive 8x. Those are additive inverses. They will add to 0, right? So that's really not there anymore. I'm going to bring down the negative 4 equals negative 8x plus 8x. Well, negative and a positive, again, additive inverses. This is also going to go to 0. What I have left is negative 2. So I would ask, does negative 4 equal negative 2? Well, no, negative 4 doesn't equal negative 2. So this is what we would call no solution. So sometimes you will see it actually written out as no solution. They also use a symbol known as null set, which means there is not a solution set that will make this a true equation. So no matter what number you plug in, if you plug 0 in, it won't work. If you plug 1,000,000 in, it won't work. There's nothing I can do with this equation to make it a true statement. So if we can have no solution, we can also have the opposite of that, which would mean every solution. So let's see what that looks like. I'm going to go ahead, give myself my balance. On the left, well, that's already simplified, so I'm just going to go ahead and bring that down. But I look on the right, I'm going to need to do a little distribution. So that's 3 minus 9x minus 8. Still not all the way simplified. I have two constants that I could put together, so combine like terms. So let's rewrite this equation again. Negative 5 minus 9x equals 3 and negative 8 combined to make negative 5 minus 9x. Well, if you just pause right here, I bet you can see that they're both the exact same. We're going to go and do that next step, though. We're going to get the variables together. So I'm going to add the 9x to both sides. Bring down the negative 5. 9x and negative 9x, additive inverses, that will go to 0. Negative 5 drops. Again, negative 9x and positive 9x, additive inverses, that's just like 0. So now I have negative 5 equals negative 5. Well, that is absolutely true. Negative 5 does equal negative 5. And it will always equal negative 5. So that means we have infinitely many solutions. Now, if I have infinitely many solutions, really what that is telling me is no matter what number I plug back in. So if I put 1 in for x, that's a true statement. Both sides would still be equal. You should try that. What if I put in 5? Still going to be equal. Infinitely many solutions means I can put any number in. It could even be a fraction. It could be 3/2, or it could be a decimal, 1.4. All real numbers are going to work for this equation. It also gets its own symbol. You will often just see the infinity sign. All right, let's take a look at just a few more examples so we can see the difference between one solution, no solution, and infinitely many. So I'm going to take a look here at my first one. I tell you what I'd like for you to do. I'd like you to pause, work the problem, come back and take a look. Okay, first step, we distribute. Then we combine like terms. Once each side of the equation has been simplified, we move the variables together. So when I move the variables together in this problem, they will both go to 0, leaving me with 6 equals 6. That is a true statement. 6 does always equal 6, so therefore I have infinitely many solutions. Again, that means that it doesn't matter what number I would use, they would always work. 5 works, 20 works, 1,000 works. They make both sides of that equation true. So go ahead, write down number 2, and then check back in. Okay, so for number 2, if I simplify first, move my variables. Now look at those variable terms. I had a 12 and a 14, right? Those are not the same, so they're not going to go to 0. And if I notice that the variable is staying, if the variable is staying, I have a solution. So my solution here is x equals -4. So this is what we would call one solution. One solution. Because the only thing that works in this equation, the only thing that makes this equation true is -4. Okay, number 3. Go ahead and pause, work the problem out, and come back. Okay, number 3. I'll go ahead, we distribute both sides. I notice right away that I have 40x on one side and -18x on the other. Those are not the same, which means that they are not going to go to zeros. So I'm going to have one solution. I work my problem all the way to the end, and, well, x equals 0. And sometimes we get that mixed up. We think, well, it's 0, so that means no solution. No, that is a solution. 0 is a number. If I put 0 back in, 0 does work for both sides. So if x is still here, if your variable is still part of your equation, which again, it is because we had a 40x and a -18x, they do not cancel out, or they do not go to 0. So x equals 0 is one solution. 0 is the only number that makes this equation or this statement true. Let's do one more. Pause, do number 4, and come back. All right, here we distributed first, combined like terms, and then we were ready to move the variables together. At that point, we had 3x on the left, 3x on the right. When I undo a positive 3x, or I go to move that, the inverse operation is subtraction. So I subtract 3x from both sides. Well, when I do, the only thing left in my problem is -13 equals 42. Well, -13 will never equal 42. Therefore, I have no solutions. Remember, no solutions means that if I tried to plug a number back in and check my work, if I tried to plug in any number, it won't work. There's nothing that makes this true, so it is simply no solution. So at the end of today, you are going to want to make sure that you can identify and tell the difference, explain what it means to have one solution, no solution, or infinitely many solutions.